So in the next chapter, he talks about the five obstacles, and the first one is self consciousness. So he talks about how self conscious is different from consciousness, and how being conscious is not really like, it has nothing to do with I or the ego. Like, it is talking about the whole. Like, you are flowing into whole, and the whole is flowing back into you, and it is like a give and take. It has nothing mine or yours in it, except self consciousness does. And self consciousness has boundaries, of course. It is my conscious, it is, you know, whenever I talk in front of people, I get self conscious. So it is something that's within me, that is created by me, and it has nothing to do with outside. You know, if I am scared, if I am fearful, if I am unsure of how to put myself out, has nothing to do with outside world, right? Or if I choose to be sad, um, uh, self consciousness is basically creating boundaries, like how we said in the previous, a minute ago. And you have like strong boundaries. We often say that, okay, this is something that I do not allow anybody to do, not even my parents. So these are the boundaries that you create, which you yourself don't want to get out. So we can say that self consciousness is uh, only take, and no sharing. And what's mine is mine. There's no love in self consciousness. There's no us in self consciousness. It's always you, it's always the individual, and not in the positive way. Like, one doesn't really have to be self conscious all the time or even ever in order to live, because to be self conscious is to be bounded. And what fun is there in being bounded? And how so with self consciousness, of course, there is I, there is the ego. And how the ego wants to always be big, ego wants to do better than everybody else, ego wants to be high up. The fact that we want to climb the highest mountain, and we want to, you know, be the best in our field, has definitely to do with, you know, like being the highest among all. Like, the ones that are there in my competition are of course low. So it is actually nothing but the food for ego. Ranking is food for ego, right? Because, like, how does it matter how the other person is doing? What you are doing is yours, it's your baby. And how he is doing, how that is doing, how much rank, how up, how down, it doesn't matter. It's only a matter of food. Like, oh, I'm doing good, I'm the best. So yeah, ego is something that comes with being self-conscious. And next thing that I found really interesting in this book was how we are responsible for our own misery. Like, this topic, he explains it really well. Like, we are always putting the blames, like, always, you know, it's the social structure, that is why my mind is so messed up. And this country, the social structure is so messed up, the politics is so messed up, that's why I'm so sad all the time, you know. My family has always ill-treated me, they have always belittled me, they have always pushed me into, you know, being sad, and I was bullied, and this and that. Those things exist, yes, but the fact that you throw your all your responsibility of misery on it is unreal. It is only created by you. You have to know that misery is your responsibility. You choose your misery. You want to be the victim, but you don't want to say that I am a victim because I like being victim. I like being in that spot where I am always complaining, and people, you know, mostly that's what people are doing. Like, always complaining. And mostly some of us are like, yeah man, you're totally right, the world is messed up. And some are like, okay, this is all we've been talking about for the past 2 hours, can we talk about good things now? Right? So it is unreal basically. The misery that we think that we are so full of, we are drowning in misery, that is nothing. That is only like a little bucket, and you have unnecessarily put yourself down below and you're like, oh my god, life sucks. Doesn't work. It is your responsibility. You choose your misery. You choose to be victim. It is not the social structure that is causing misery. It is not the economic structure. It is not the government. It is not your house. It is not your religion. It is you. You choose it. So now it is your choice if you want to be in harmony with the nature, with the existence, or you want to be in a miserable state. It is totally up to you. So the first thing to actually do if you want to make a change, if you want to see the other side, is dropping the ego, you know. Just drop it. If it's not so easy to just go for it, slowly start doing it. See where I is too much, where it's always I do this, I do that, oh you do this, I do that. See where it is getting too much overboard, and then start dropping it. Start dropping it. Be away from it. And ego is definitely all the tension that is created by you yourself, you know. You only, I meant, you know, this person said this to me and I don't take it. I absolutely don't take it. So again, I was hurt. I am not going to take it. Sorry, lack of examples, but you know what I mean, right? And so the real self is actually something that we figure out as the years pass. You know, we figure out new things about ourselves. But what is fake self then? What is the pseudo self that we create to present ourselves in front of the society? What are these characteristics that we over identify with, and again that create boundaries? Again, I'm into this, I'm not into that. Please, can you turn that music off? It's not my style. So it's again creating boundaries. It is not your style, good. If you play music and you cannot dance, good. But don't go on creating boundaries. And also, you actually don't really know what you are capable of and what you are not. It's only because you have created the boundaries of I like this, I don't like that, do. It's only because of that you haven't tried something yet. If you become empty, if you create space, you just might be good at something else as well. But then the over identification and creating this pseudo self that you present yourself. But also interestingly, we deep down know who we are. So while we create this fake self in front of the people, we still know that we are deceiving ourselves. It's something that I am only portraying to be. Okay, maybe I've started enjoying it a little bit. Maybe it is bringing me happiness, but still I know that this is not me. Like you can deceive everybody else, but you cannot deceive yourself. It's very interesting. So a foolish man calls you intelligent and your ego is decorated. You are very happy. But if you really think about it, these things are only relative. Like an intelligent man, a person who is more intelligent than you will never call you intelligent. So the happiness that you are deriving from being called intelligent or beautiful is all relative, because the ones who are lower will see you higher, and the ones who are higher will see you lower. So don't go on feeding your ego. Like, don't go on seeking appreciations and seeking praises that, oh wow, this is me, I love it, please tell me more about myself. So these things are not real, and we should create some distance with it. See where you are seeking validation from outside, and see why you need to do that. Why is it that we cannot be natural? Like, for example, when we are alone, that is a total different being from what we are outside. Even like with your boyfriend you are different, your friends you are different, with your family you are different, and with yourself you are different, as we all know this saying. But it's very interesting, because when we are alone, that is the truest self who we want to be, right? Because then we don't have to portray anything to anybody, how you want to be, how like there's no fakeness when you are alone, and that's the real you. So why is there a difference between the one who is outside in the world and the one who is within? It's because you want food for your ego, you want to decorate your ego, and you want praises, you want to be appreciated, you want to be cool, you want to be ranked, you want to be validated. And this is why there is gap, this is why the empty space is so full, that you know, it will take some time. If not time, it will take effort. You choose and you do it, you go for it. So this is also something that I was like, ooh, interesting, I love it. So there's this one sentence that I really found super nice by him. I'm gonna read it to you guys. Rather than being disturbed by what others say, you should start looking inside yourself. To know the real self is not so cheap, but people are always hankering for cheap things. Interesting. So all the decorating the ego, all the decorating the ego has to go. It has to be dropped. And once you have dropped this fake self, you have dropped the ego, that is when the world around you the world that you have created shatters. So it's not easy either, you know, because you have created this world and suddenly you're being told to just khatam, finish. But also that is when you will see the real light. Like it has to go, it has to be cut off. It is unreal, it is unnecessary, it brings you misery, and it's not like there's so much more, there's definitely so much more. So we gotta see where ego is playing and where the real self is starting to come to play. Also, another really interesting thing that I read in this book, in this chapter itself, was becoming a listener. And if you really think about it, there are very few who actually listen. People always want to talk, people are always going on about how they are, how they did. You tell a story and suddenly they're like, no, with me it was not like that. And it is almost like that person was just waiting to say his part. Like probably most of the times it is not even being heard. Most of the times, like when you start a topic, you're talking about Himalayas, like, yeah, this is what happened, this is this. By this time the other person also goes back to his story, and he's not even listening. And as soon as you finish, and some people even interrupt, you are in the middle of the story and they're like, poop, you know what happened with me, this is what happened. So talking is very easy, you know, we have all experienced a lot of things. There are definitely so many stories within all of us. Even if I don't travel, if I stay at home, there are definitely stories of, you know, cats coming over or just weird things. So we all are full of stories. But the main idea to listen, to become passive, to truly listen, not fake it, not like yeah, good, even this is fake. Like, to be able to truly listen, you, for that little while, you have to drop me, you have to drop I. Don't create your own story with somebody else's story. Become a listener, become passive, see what you can learn from somebody else's story, and, you know, be a genuine listener. That is something that is not easy, and that is something that we should all, you know, see if we are on this side or that side, and whichever side we should be going for. The second obstacle is perfectionism. Now, this word has gained a lot of popularity in the past few years, I think. And how, like, people are always like, oh my god, I'm such a perfectionist, I want things to be perfect. Perfection, perfect. So again, if you see, perfection means food for ego. It is again like, I want my thing to be perfect. It has to be some quality, it has to be this, it has to be like that. So again, you are not really letting the natural flow happen, because you are concerned that okay, if my name is going under this, this has to be perfect. And as long as you are concerned about my name having the stamp of okay, Shivani Sharma did this, boom, it's not natural, it's not real creativity, because it has ego in that thing. You are actually seeking praise. So the farther away you are from your creativity, the more distance there is between the I and the creation, the better it will be, because then you know the whole will flow and come decorated. The I will have to be separated, because the I is always full of ego, it is always seeking validation, it is always seeking appreciation. You know how like in general people are like, you know, how long I worked for this, how much effort I have made into this, it is only my years of experience that I have been able to create this. So even if that is true, you know, it is actually that okay, it looks like that you did it because you drew it, you made it, you did it, but like seeking over you know over what is that word, over identification with anything will only lead you to misery. Because now that you have created so much I, and somebody comes at, oh my god, who did that shit, your ego is dropped, you are not appreciated, and your piece of creativity doesn't matter anymore, because the society is like, oh my god, who did that. So create distance, create some space. Again, like he is all, Osho all the time is talking about creating space between the ego and the real self, the over identification of I. Look into it and see if you know there could be a gap. So the third obstacle is the intellect. Now intellect is basically your memory, right? Like it comes from the mind, it is what is stored up, it is what you know, it is the facts that you have checked and the knowledge that you have gathered, it is everything gathered. So we can say that intellect is old, you know, it's coming from the mind, and mind has to do a lot with the memory, and memory is from the past. So all this information that you have, which you use as your intellect, which you put forward as facts, or you know the things that you know, is all from the past. It's not right now, it's not new, it's not coming as the situation needs it, right? Whereas intelligence is courage, intelligence is adventure, intelligence is when there is a moment and you click, you just know that this is what we gotta do, it just comes, it's not stored up, it's not, intelligence is not what you have already experienced, right? Because it is always a new experience, it is always a new situation where you have to use your intelligence, which is not really coming from the past. So we can say that intellect is full of, you know, facts and like the library that is within your head. And intelligence is new, intelligence is just coming, it's, so intellect is logic, intellect is what you know, intellect is the facts, intellect is the stories, the memories from before, it is the what do you call it, the sure short knowledge, like you've experienced it before. For example, how sometimes in conversation you are telling that okay, you know, this happened, and somebody just like, one second, I just had same experience, bro, and this what I did, and this is exactly what you gotta do, and the situation will be worked out. Now, you know, there is a possibility that probably it will be worked out by that suggestion. But then always being dependent on the past information will not really lead you to a fresh life, right? Like it would not keep you in the present, it would not bring you new information, because you always have things worked out. How they have worked out before is exactly how it will be worked out now. And so Osho says that if you need more intelligence in your life, you don't need more information, you need more meditation. Because again, information is from the past and meditation is from the future, it is from the present. So meditation creates space, and that space brings new experiences. So do you want to be more intelligent or do you want to be more intellect? It's up to you. The fourth obstacle is belief. Now, again, belief has a lot to do with your mind, because your mind believes that, okay, this and this and this and this is for me, and that and that and that and that is not for me. And your belief sometimes can be so strong that it could make something that might not even be real. So for example, if you believe that you cannot be creative, then you will not be creative, because your belief has such strong hold over yourself that even you can't cross it. So we have to also loosen up this belief system where our mind is basically creating stories that, this is this, and belief has such strong hold over you that whenever it wants, it opens the doors, and whenever it wants, it closes the doors. So you have to take your life in your own hand and not really bound yourself with beliefs. Create space, see how it goes. It might have worked out in some other way before, it might work in some other way now. So don't be so closed. Again, it's about the boundaries and breaking the boundaries, and less of this and more of this. So belief is the fourth one. और fifth obstacle है the fame game. Now fame game again has to do with recognition. I did this. Ooh, wow, who did that? So the work itself becomes the mode of recognition. So now you are not doing your work because you love your work. You are doing your work so people are like, whoa, dude, that is cool. So what you are doing for recognition, do you even love doing that? Like if that was not bringing you any recognition, would you still do it? And if it wouldn't, then does it even make sense to do it? Like, does it bring you joy? So with this, he concludes the chapter that you don't really need recognition to be joyful. What you just have to do is enjoy your work, be joyful with your work. Now it doesn't matter if somebody likes it, somebody doesn't like it, you get validated, you don't get validated. You are playing the music because you like it, you are dancing because you like it, you are painting because that brings joy to you, you are doing mathematics, you are doing whatever, everything that you do with full heart is creative, right? Even if it's cleaning the house. So the end goal should not be thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs down is never the end goal anyway. But it should be joy, it should bring you happiness. So this was the end of second chapter, Fame Game.